What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Welcome back to Top Bins, the show, bringing you all the action from the Premier League in Serie, England, and Italy. I am your host, Matt, joined by my co-host, Dom. How are you?
Why are we matching?
Well, I'm wearing mint. I'm wearing mint. Actually, doesn't maybe look that way on the camera.
Yeah, my screen is really small too right now. I got my fantasy.
I'm looking at myself, and it does look like a white tee. In my white tee.
Hey. Well, don't get us DMCA'd real quick.
No, I can say that. Now, if I start going more Paul Wall, I don't know. But
that's not Paul Wall, right? Isn't that that's Dem Franchise Boys?
That is Dem Franchise Boys.
Oh,
I don't know why. There's something about that song that makes me think of Paul Wall.
I can't lie. I was listening to Paul Wall like the other day driving around. I was kind of feeling a little nostalgic.
And that's one of the whitest things you've ever done. You know?
Got to put on the People's Champ every now and then, you know. So
College Park. That's Bubba Sparks too. I'm all over the map.
Yeah,
I am all over the map, man.
Oh man, you know it all blends in the South over there. So you know,
there's just a certain, honestly, you know, it is rap from that age. Everyone had like a grill in.
Yeah,
and it was not that the speech is slurred, but it all kind of sounds the same because they all kind of had to talk from the throat because they couldn't actually use their tongue. I don't know. I'm trying to excuse myself for my poor performance here. And it's just not. Let's be real. That was bad stuff by me. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's all good. We'll allow it.
We are on the international break, but we'll be breaking down what happened over the weekend in the Premier League and Serie. We're going to start with Serie. Had some big matchups this past weekend that we highlighted for your viewing pleasure, and they certainly didn't disappoint in terms of drama and a few shock result, maybe not the word, but Lazio, we talked about their rough start to the season. They got a nice bounce-back win over Napoli, who had started the season very strong. Good performance from Lazio all the way around. I think even like we were texting, even some of their goals that they scored that got called for offsides were really good sequences of play. That's exciting to see. I think gives you a little bit of hope as you go through the international break that maybe they find their form a little bit and find their footing. It's been a team too that, you know, obviously has been incorporating new transfers a little later into the window and things like that. You did see Kameda get a goal. You saw a beautiful Luis Alberto goal in this game. Just
oh my God,
just an all-timer, honestly.
Incredible.
Just beautiful touch there. A little bit of a disappointing performance by Napoli all the way around. If you're talking about maybe a little bit of regression, these are the types of games that actually they probably find a way to get a draw out of this game. You know, they'll probably find a way to salvage something here. Not able to do that. I think defensively too. You know, we were kind of curious to see what they would look like without Kim Min-jae. I think you saw a little bit of the frailties there with this team defensively. Still not major concerns. You know, anytime you're playing one of the top teams in Italy, there's always a chance that result doesn't go your way. There's small margins in big affairs like this, but you know, it does feel like maybe a sign of a potential weakness for them as we go through the rest of the season. The game was in Naples too, you know, where they were obviously very good last year and have been very good in years past.
Yeah, I think what stands out for me when it comes to Lazio is that Cataldi started, but I do think that Guendouzi may take that spot. Like we may see a midfield three of Kamada, Alberto, and Guendouzi eventually. When it comes to Lazio, I think it's great that like Luis Alberto has an offensive partner in that midfield with Kamada now. Now, like, Luis Alberto doesn't have to be the guy to create everything. When Guendouzi did come in, he was very, very, very impressive. Like even pressing up the field farther than the strikers, getting into passing lanes. I mean, he was getting involved in the attack, getting back on defense, getting stuck in the tackles. Like it was really, really nice from him. And I mean, I was, you know, Ciro Immobile, you know, we've been talking about him potentially like tailing off, but if his wingers continue to play the way that they've been playing, I mean, he's going to eventually see goal scoring, contributions as well. Felipe Anderson looked great in this game. Zaccagni looked great. Romagnoli looked great. As much as I hate to say it, like the center back pairing for Lazio just had it down packed in that game. Slight hiccup for Napoli. They look to rebound. I mean, I'm not going to look too much in it for them, but with a couple like you mentioned, Kim not being there, you could definitely see a difference. Like Juan Jesus didn't play bad, but it wasn't the best showing from Napoli. I think they'll rebound. They'll definitely rebound it, but it's a very strong statement win for Lazio that can help them build some momentum early on in the season. And they may make me eat my words about them, kind of underperforming. I mean, I think that obviously the midfield is one of the most important areas on the pitch, and they really have looked to like secure that for themselves. And I think that's huge moving forward.
Yeah, you did get the annual Felipe Anderson. He gives you like 3 good performances every year. Here's your 1 out of 3. We'll see you maybe in like 2 months for his next big performance.
How about Pedro trying to like turn back the clock and he just completely falls over the ball?
Yeah, it's not there anymore, brother. It's all right. You put in some good service over the years, Pedro. You don't have to prove anything to anybody anymore.
That was so funny.
A great forward in your own right. So yeah, that's the Lazio Napoli game. Really good one there. It gives a little bit of shake up to the top of the table and ironically the bottom of the table because that's where Lazio were coming into the game. Speaking of Roman clubs and early season woes, Roma continued to slide. They dropped to Milan. Tough performance, tough game here. A little bit of a late push, maybe a little pressure applied to Milan. Ultimately, it doesn't come to anything. Roma, it's all kind of gone wrong for them. Part of this has been injury. Part of this has just been underperformance. But 1 point from their opening 3 fixtures, that is just not good enough for what their ambition is, which is to make it back into Europe, really at any level, any stage, I would say, is Roma's goal this season. Ideally, Champions League, of course, but they are dealing with injuries. But that's the fact of life for a lot of teams. And when you buy players that like Renato Sanchez, who has been injured a lot over the last few seasons, I guess they loaned him technically, not bought, but I do think this is a real concern for me. Apparently, there was a verbal confrontation between Jose Mourinho and the players after the game. I can't imagine that possibly being true. I'm sure that's definitely right. So it's hard for me to decide who this game is maybe more about though. Mm-hmm. The Roma crisis or the Milan perfect going into the international break. Olivier Giroud looks like he's 28 again. I think both sides of the narrative here are very strong.
You gotta love Pioli shushing Mourinho as well.
You're back on Pioli now. You're pretending like you like him. Okay.
No. Listen. I'll give the man credit when there's credit, and I love when he does stuff like this. It's a little, Anyway, I think it was a little bit of both, right? Like, obviously, you see Milan get that red card. Obviously, not the best idea or the best scenario. Players did not like Ruben Loftus-Cheek coming off, but I mean, he was already on a yellow. And with the way that he plays, he could have easily seen red with the way the game was called. The ref completely got this game out of control. He didn't have a hold over the game. Milan was definitely weakened both by substitutions and by that red card, and that allowed Roma to press late on. Lukaku comes into the game. You can see that he's throwing his body around, and he's trying to do the old tricks that made him so successful in his first stint over at Inter. I think it'll come along for them. Lukaku is clearly the first choice striker for them. I think this is great for Milan. Another strong showing against a stronger team, right? The games get a little bit tougher as the weeks go on. They've got Inter in 2 weeks. So this was a nice kind of setup. The red card does not bode well. Tomori got that red card, correct? Who had the red card?
You're talking about
the Milan game? Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Tomori, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a little tough for Milan, right? You're either going to see a Kier Tial or Tia Kalulu partnership against Inter, which is a little bit concerning if you're a Milan fan. But, I think that, the way that the midfield's been playing, Ruben Loftus-Cheek is poised for a big game. Pulisic has been playing well. Like you said, Giroud has been turning back the clock. I think that's one of the most impressive things. I mean, granted, a lot of his goals on the goal-scoring tally have been penalties, but he also has still been a threat in link-up play. He obviously draws the attention of a center back when he's making runs. And Leao is Leao. What a goal he scored, by the way. Not the cleanest, overhead kick, but with a body on his back and like falling to be able to, contort his body and get good enough contact to put that into the goal. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So hats off to Milan. I think it's a well-deserved break. Come international time. I think there's like 31 players from the squad that have been called up. Or sorry, not 31. I saw it posted. It's like 17 actually. It's something like that. 17. 31 is crazy. I'm sorry.
It's like, brother, what?
Never mind. It's more like 16 or 17.
Like 23, 25 players. You got 31.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Pioli,
right?
lacing up again.
Yeah. The Primavera players are going. No, I think it's like something like 16 or 17 players got called up to international duty. So that's nice for them. It's not nice for the potential dumb injury knocks that could potentially happen in the international break with such a big game of early on in the season coming up. So knock on wood that nothing happens to any of these like important players, because Milan does not have the squad depth to survive a game against Inter if some of their main players get injured.
Yeah, neither did Roma, by the way. They can't afford any more injuries. So we'll check back with them post-international break, see how those two teams continue to get along. Before we get into our last bullet point here, I just wanted to point out we're on a little bit of winless watch here in Italy. We did this last year. We got Salernitana, Udinese, Roma, Cagliari, and Empoli all without wins at this stage of the season. Not a great look.
Nope.
I expect that Roma will get out of the basement at some point and get a win, but we're 3 games in the season. It's not a huge sample size. Teams can go without a win in 3 games, but as the weeks tick on, it does start to get a little more scary. When you're not winning any week. Wanted to preview in Italy, especially some of the Champions League groups that we have to look forward to for Italian competition, because we had the Champions League draw, Europa League, Europa Conference League, all of that good stuff last week in between our shows. Dom, we were joking about it before we did our little fake draw before we left last week. We talked about how if Milan could just avoid being in the group of death again for the 3rd straight year, whatever it is, that maybe they have a good shot. Well, they ended up in a very, very challenging group: Milan, Dortmund, Newcastle, PSG. I will say maybe not quite on the level of some of the group of deaths that they've been involved with in years past, but it's still not a navigable group. PSG are going to be the favorites to get through. I think, for me personally, I think Milan are my pick to go through second here. Not that we're doing this, but I'm thinking it through. It's a challenging group, clearly. It's obviously going to be a big push for them to get out of it. Lazio got a manageable group for sure. Atletico Madrid, Celtic, Feyenoord, and Lazio. If they can figure out their form, I think they could be a team that finds their way to the round of 16. Inter as well got a pretty reasonable draw. Benfica, Real Sociedad, and Salzburg in their group. Napoli, a sneaky, challenging group here. You got Braga, who have performed really well in Europe the last few seasons. Real Madrid, kings of Europe, of course. Napoli and Union Berlin. Union Berlin, a very good team out of Germany. Meteoric rise over the last few seasons. It's their first, kind of foray into the Champions League. They've got a great home field advantage. I think people are going to really love watching those games and seeing the kind of atmosphere those fans create. So all the Italian teams, I think Inter have probably the best chance, I think, of winning their group, let alone just making out of it. I think they're a very strong team in their group, but everyone else has some work to do, I think, to make it into the round of 16.
Yeah, everybody has a really, really difficult group. It's either they're not the clear front runner, or so, and they're not maybe the clear off second team. There's maybe some teams that can compete for that second spot out of the group. I think UEFA is rigged. It's crazy. They love their.
I gotta tell you, the tenor
Listen.
of the conversation really just changed.
Listen. They love their storylines, right? How the hell are they going to have all of these former player matchups in this group of death? Donnarumma returns to Milan. Tonali returns to Milan. Pulisic goes back to Dortmund. Like, what is going on here? So, Ousmane Dembele comes back to Dortmund. Like, there's all of these storylines. Just it just happened to be right. No, it's UEFA wanting to sell all these tickets.
Yeah, I'm sure that people really struggle to sell tickets because all of those teams, barring PSG, are definitely known for not having. Well, I guess Newcastle, when they were bad, remember like 3 years ago when no one would show up to their games. I guess now they have Saudi Arabia money, but
no, it's definitely tough. Inter, being the reigning second place team in the Champions League. I mean, they didn't play that bad against City either. City didn't run away with that Champions League trophy. So you have a very solid team in Inter making another case for themselves into making a deep run into this competition. I'd love to see these Italian teams make deep runs like last year. It's very hard to do that, especially with the way some of these other teams are looking. I just don't like the odds of some of these teams like that like Vegas was giving. We talked about this last episode, right? Just Barcelona just happens to have the 5th best odds out of nowhere, better than all the Italian teams, better than the semifinalists. Like, there are like 10 teams, I think, better than Inter with odds on winning the Champions League this year.
Well, I think it's just Barcelona won the league last year and were like defensively very good.
I think that they're giving teams that like won a league a better chance than teams that made
wrong. I think that's wrong.
I really do think that, like, if you can get it done in the Champions League itself, like, and then you kind of bolster your squad from there, I think that you can make a case for yourself.
Champions League?
It's been a long time. I'm not defending Inter, but with all this type of stuff, I'd rather defend Milan making another run. But
no, I'm gonna make you defend Inter. That's what I'm gonna do.
When did they last win it? 2010 when they won the treble, right?
Barcelona won the Champions League.
It's got to be a lot sooner than that, right?
Right, I think 2015. So I don't know. I just I think Barcelona. If Robert Lewandowski, come on, what are we doing?
You can't ever count him out, right?
No, I don't think it's crazy for them to be one of the favorites. Do I think that they'll win? Probably not. But here are the favorite. I just pulled them up. It's Man City, the favorites, obviously to return as champions. Bayern Munich at plus 500. Real Madrid, Arsenal. Arsenal having the 4th best odds, I think, is a little nutso. If you ask me, that's some English bias right there. Barcelona at plus 1,400, PSG at plus 1,600, Manchester United at plus 2,000. This one is insane to me. This is just bonkers. Newcastle United, higher favorites than Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan, Napoli, Milan.
How?
Because it's the English bias, dude. Because they know idiots will throw their money on it.
That's so why. Dumb.
Yeah, they're not making it out of their group even.
No.
Eddie Howe, I tell you, Eddie Howe's got to be careful, brother. We'll get to it, but you got to be careful. Saudi Arabians do not take kindly to when people.
Yeah, watch what you say there, Matt. Watch what you say.
I trailed off. I think the mic. We'll take a quick peek at the Europa League for the Italian teams as well. Atalanta, Rakov Sheshikova. I'm so sorry.
Excuse me?
That's and Sporting Club de Portugal.
I think you got something stuck in your throat, dude. You want to say that again?
Manageable group for Atalanta, but they've disappointed in Europe occasionally. You had that good Champions League run during COVID. I can remember, but outside of that, it's just been a little bit of struggle there. Roma ended up in the club of Sheriff Tiraspol, who we can remember having a great Champions League group stage a few seasons ago. They beat Real Madrid famously. Servette and Slavia Prague, a little challenging for Europa League group, but should make it through if we're being realistic about their odds there. Nothing really to say about Europa League. I'm looking forward to seeing European competition back. Looking forward to have Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, afternoons locked up, brother. Let's hop over to England, where we had one of the marquee matchups in the English game with Arsenal versus Manchester United. This one goes way back, of course. I think this is still a Premier League classic for me. I just think these are the two of the biggest clubs in England. Always fun seeing them go up, and it usually does deliver some drama. And we got some great stuff on Sunday. We had what I actually thought was one of the better Manchester United performances all season. Of course, it ends up in a loss, so a little bit for naught, but I actually think it's some of the best we've seen them play so far. I think it was their most competent performance from like minute 1 to minute 90. Of course, after minute 90, it really went screwy for them, but they did think they won it on a Garnacho goal, which was offsides, although Ten Hag said that it wasn't viewed from the right angle, so that it should have been given as onside, according to him. Who knows?
No.
We did see the debut of Rasmus Højlund, too, in this game, and he looked pretty nice. Definitely physically is going to be able to manage with the center backs in this league. He was giving Gabriel quite the tough time. But the story, of course, is about Arsenal. Declan Rice gets what really is the winning goal in this one. Gabriel Jesus makes it a sure thing with a very smooth, silky finish to make it 3-1. Arsenal pull this one out. You know, it felt like they really snatched victory from the jaws of defeat in this one. They get that offside reversal and then go on and score 2 in stoppage time. I think it's a great way for them to enter the international break, riding a little bit of momentum, still stay competitive in the race at the top of the league. And it's just a big victory to get this stage of the season, and you got good performances out of your players. Odegaard looked, again, just fantastic. Just one of my favorite players to watch in England at the moment. And I think the arrow's pointing up for Arsenal, I would say.
Yeah, they're definitely looking good. I mean, it does say a lot for United if you're giving them, some props. So that's one thing. United did look good, especially amidst all the off-field stuff that's been in the news regarding them and their players and things like that. So, I mean, the Marcus Rashford goal was good. It was a very well taken chance. Credit to Arsenal for getting it right back. Odegaard's goal was just as good. United had 2 goals taken away, correct? Or was it only just the Garnacho chance? I can't remember.
It was the Garnacho chance. There was a penalty that Arsenal should have had that got overturned. I don't really know how that one got overturned. Then there was a Højlund. I actually think probably should have been a penalty. Gabriel really does kind of bring him down, doesn't play the ball at all. So I think there was some VAR questions in there. I know people were like really down on the Havertz one. He clearly makes contact with his leg and trips him. Now you can make the case that Havertz maybe moves his leg into but like, how can you you're seeing it in slow motion? I mean, honestly, like, everything looks more intentional in slow motion than it really is. I did not think there was enough there to be a clear and obvious error to be overturned. I don't know. I think decisions in general. You had a really bizarre decision, not in this game, but Manchester City Fulham, where very clearly Nathan Ake's goal should not have stood because of interference from an offside player. So much so that Erling Haaland after the game said that goal should not have stood. So that's been kind of the theme of the Premier League to start the season. For Manchester United, it's, like I said, it was in general a pretty decent performance from them, but this does continue their streak of performing very poorly against the top teams away from home. I don't think have won a single game away from home to any of the top clubs under Erik Ten Hag. That's a big question mark for them. It felt like they had good moments in this game, and I think there was a better performance than what we've seen so far this season. And for Arsenal, the arrow is pointing up, but it's been a little sloppy from them this season. We haven't seen them. It's good to get the win even when you're not the dominant team within the game. And it's a cliche, but the great teams find a way to win even when not playing the best, and find a way to really flip the switch at the end of the game. And Arsenal did that quite a few times last season as well. So the fact that they can still turn what could have been no points or 1 point into 3 is a good sign. But I would like to see Arsenal put together a better, full composition game before I really start buying in again, because I'm just a little worried that they've been a little shaky so far to start the season. But
it's a bit concerning seeing what we've been seeing from Havertz. I mean, he looks in his own head. The same thing that we saw, with him at Chelsea. Just every single mess up, he gets more down on himself, and then, he had that that led to the goal. He gave up just a meatball of a pass to United. He's chasing the ball back. Whoever had the ball, I forget who. I guess it was Eriksson, and then he just stops after that pass is played to Rashford and watches Rashford take on that chance. Just and you see hands go on the head. He has that other chance where he kind of shanks the ball, but it looks like he whiffs it and then it lays off to his teammate.
He whiffed.
He whiffed.
I know exactly what moment you're talking about.
and then you see it again. They zoom in on his face and he's just like, oh my God. He's got to go to a therapist or something, man, because he needs to fix himself.
Yeah, his therapist
mentally.
is called the
It's
Bundesliga. That's where he needs to go back to Germany. I'm sorry.
Well,
I've seen enough. It just is not. I was very curious to see how they're going to deploy him. It just hasn't. And I'll tell you this too.
It's not good.
I don't think it's been a coincidence that anytime Vieira has come on in place of him, that Arsenal's looked much more threatened. Now you could say it's because they're chasing the game a lot of those times, when they're making that switch, like against Fulham. But I don't know. I just think I gotta see a little more out of him. Arteta's had something really weird to say too about just have to be persistent. My wife, I before I conquered her, I kept asking. And
that was so weird,
brother. You're playing Thomas Partey on your team. You probably shouldn't be making quotes like that. I'm gonna be so real with you. You should probably steer away from the consent talk. Let's not open up that box there, because I don't think that's. I don't think it's favorable to the.
What I don't understand when it comes to Manchester United are two things. Number one, the stat you just said about Ten Hag not getting it done against big teams, that was a fireable offense for every other manager prior to Ten Hag. So is his time limited? I don't know. Number two, what is it with Manchester United and employing domestic abusers? I don't know. All this stuff that's come out about Anthony recently.
Which, by the way, not new. This has been out since
it's been an ongoing thing.
Last year, around the same time as more of the Greenwood stuff came out. But last year, I remember hearing about this, and it sort of fizzled away, and it's come back in a big way because now there's actual police involvement. Right now, his partner is accusing him of domestic physical violence. The biggest issue, it seems, is that allegedly the Manchester United doctors treated her. Now, apparently, this is not super uncommon that these people will also offer to do any kind of family medicine, or just if anyone in the family has an issue, they're happy to see them. I don't know how true that is, but that is something I've read does happen. But if they treated it and these were injuries from a domestic violence situation, and those injuries maybe weren't reported properly, I don't know. Again, it's very speculative at this point. A lot of it is alleged stuff. Just doesn't seem good. Apparently, they're cooperating with police right now, and who knows? Yeah, it's an ugly situation. No matter the truth or the circumstance, any of it. And Greenwood did go to Getafe. Disgusting. The image rehabilitation that he's getting is so weird. Shout out to Fabrizio Romano, one of the biggest frauds and cowards on the planet. Just absolutely twerking for Mason Greenwood. Just an absolute fucking loser. I hate that guy. I've hated him for a long time. I think he's an absolute sleazeball. I'm happy to have been right about that. Speaking of absolute losers, complete tangent, but since my blood pressure's up, Jordan Henderson, just get fucked. He does this goddamn mopey interview with just the intention of that he's just going to be able to get his image back. First of all, he's back in the England squad somehow. Disgusting. Don't know how. He sucks. He sucked last year. I don't know how to tell you this, bud, but yeah, you were terrible, and Jurgen Klopp was right to want to replace you. It can't be said any more clearly than that you were absolutely just terrible last season. Saying that he didn't go to Saudi Arabia for money, that's a fucking lie.
That's a lie.
That's an absolute lie. Listen, brother, you're getting paid $700,000 a week. You don't need to lie. What are you doing? talking about how he can be a symbol for LGBTQ plus people in Saudi Arabia, even though he said he won't wear any kind of rainbow lace because he has to respect the culture of Saudi Arabia and the religion. Just shut up. Just honestly, just take your money and shut up. Like you don't. I really want to know who in his life told him that interview was a good idea, because he just looks even worse for it. Honestly, he just looks like an absolute buffoon, and he deserves everything he gets.
This man carries himself like he relates himself on the same level as like Gerrard, Lampard, and Scholes. Like it's really crazy to me. It's really crazy to me.
He ain't that guy, pal. He ain't that guy.
You're not that guy, pal.
I used to carry water for Henderson. He's better than people ever gave him credit for, but you're definitely not that guy, pal. You are not that guy. He's better than Scholes. Scholes sucks. Scholes is the most overrated player I've ever heard in my life. I definitely won't take that. Scholes sucks. And he sucks his daughter's toes. I don't want to hear about it. I'm done talking about Manchester United players and their weird shit. I'm talking about Jordan Henderson. We're moving on. That's not a lie, by the way. That's not a lie.
It's
That's
not a lie.
There's photo evidence. He sucks his daughter's toes. Paul Scholes sucks his daughter's toes.
Crazy.
All right?
Can we talk about this new age Spurs?
Yes, please, for the love of God, get me off of Paul Scholes sucking his daughter's toes.
This team's looking crazy with James Maddison right behind Heung-min Son. I mean,
I sat here a few weeks ago and spun you a yarn about how James Maddison could really be good for this team. He could hit his over on goals. Well, guess what? He's like halfway there, brother. This man is electric, unbelievable. Great performance from Spurs over the weekend. They're second in the league right now. 11 goals scored. Brighton actually is the most goals scored in the league with 12. But Heung-min Son, I think, is the big story because he had a down season last year. I think there was definite, and I think some legitimate concern about, is this just a drop-off? Is this a one-year thing? Some variance? Who knows? But was not at his usual standard or what we've come to expect from Heung-min Son last year. But scores a hat-trick in this game, and they defeat Burnley by a score of 5-2. I think you're going to see this from Spurs a little bit this season. You know, these maybe a little bit more frantic games. You know, they concede early in this one, and you know, sort of the game opens up for them once they get that equalizing goal, though. And I think this is a team that does very well in transition and is going to continue to do so. I think they have the horses to do that as well. You know, they did bring in Brennan Johnson, who I'm like lukewarm on. He's a young player that I think has some potential, but I don't think has shown a ton. But I like this team. I still like where they're at. I think Ange is a good manager, and I like that they've had this. I like that they're going into the international break with some good vibes, you know, because you lose Harry Kane, it's very easy, I think, to get really negative about the situation, about this team, about this season, and they haven't really done that. I think they've gone out and they've performed well. They've got a big win under Ange already against Manchester United. I think they have a lot to feel positive about if you're a Spurs fan coming out of the international break now.
Yeah. I mean, they're making me eat my words. James Madison's making me eat my words. I hate seeing Spurs succeed, but you know what? Credit to them. They're looking really, really good, and they're showing that they can do it without Harry Kane. James Madison is a very, very good football player.
Yeah, he was a great founding father too. Honestly, just loved his work.
Hey yo, I see what you did there. Nice
Thank
one.
you. I appreciate it. Let's move on to our final talking point from the Premier League weekend. How worried are we exactly about Chelsea? How worried are we exactly about Newcastle? Two teams with a lot of expectation coming into the year. Newcastle especially coming off a top 4 campaign last season. They're going to be in the Champions League like we talked about, but you know, I don't think it was unreasonable to think they might take a little step backwards. You know, I certainly felt that way. Now, granted, they've had a hard schedule. They've had a very challenging schedule, actually, to open up the season. And I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that they wouldn't have gotten a lot of favorable results out of Aston Villa, Manchester City, Liverpool, and Brighton. They lost all 3 to City, Liverpool, and Brighton. Not surprising that you lose those games, right? Like, you don't totally expect to beat City. You don't totally expect to beat Liverpool. You probably should be more competitive with Brighton than they were. I did feel like Brighton really controlled that game. That's more the worry. You know, losing to City and Liverpool, you make your peace with that, I think. Now, the circumstances in which you lost to Liverpool, you do not make your peace with. That was just an absolute throwaway by them. But I'm not sure where I am on the panic alarm with them. But I got Brentford right after the international break. Brentford's been playing pretty good ball this year so far too. It's just then you're talking about you have this hard Champions League group. I've never been a big believer in Eddie Howe. I don't think he's really that great. If I'm just being totally honest, I not a fan, and that's what makes it so funny about Jason Tyndall. And he acts so cocky. He's like, brother, you're gonna be out of a job soon. Like I wouldn't be surprised if after this season, if we're sitting here next year and Eddie Howe is not the manager of Newcastle. It could be even this season. I think he could definitely be a mid-season firing.
Yeah. Look, Chelsea, their only league win is against Luton. Crazy.
Lost at home to Nottingham Forest.
Lost to Forest.
Nottingham Forest had not
Ridiculous.
won a game on the road all season last year.
It's time to ring the alarm bells at Stamford Bridge. That's how I feel.
It is noon in like Milan right now. The church bells are ringing everywhere. You are inundated with noise. That is how worried I am about Chelsea.
Listen, I'm not as like you said. I'm not as worried if I'm Newcastle. They'll turn it around. And obviously, like even with the Champions League, I do think that if they put a good showing out against any team in their group, that can help spur their form in the league. I'm not too worried about them right now. Like you said, they've had a much tougher schedule than Chelsea. Chelsea, with the money that they've spent and the stature that comes with a club like that, they should not be dropping points the way that they're dropping points. And I'm all for it. I love it. I love seeing it. But you know what? Let it keep happening. Let them keep dropping. Let them fight for relegation. And I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it every minute of it.
Yeah. I gotta be honest. I really like watching Chelsea lose. It feels great.
Yeah,
it feels
100%.
so cool to watch them suck, especially after all the money they spent. It's hilarious that they spent as much money as they have, and yet they still are going to have to spend more money. On the positive side, Caicedo looked a little better in that game. Didn't expect that he was going to necessarily have the performance that he did on his debut for the rest of his Chelsea career, but I guess that's comforting. But man, for me, it just did not ever feel super threatening in this game. They had some good chances. Nicholas Jackson should have had a goal, if we're being honest. And if that one goes in, probably talking a different thing. But that's the margins that you play on. That was an issue for Chelsea the last few seasons, is not being able to finish those chances. You buy players and get a new manager in the hope that those things are fixed, and it hasn't been so far this season. I don't know. I'm a little worried about that. I'm a little worried about the way you start the season in terms of the performances. They've had some good things, some bad things. I just think, again, their goal was definitely to get back in Europe this season. And I don't know. I just think that you should be better than what you are right now with the money that you spent. Now, maybe through the course of the season they improve, but for right now, I am worried about Chelsea.
They have bought 3 squads worth of players. You're telling me they can't get a winning combination together? I am telling you that's what's happening, yeah. I mean, obviously, it is what's happening. It's just crazy to me to think about, like, they can't get a manager or whatever to figure out what combination of all these players work. It doesn't seem to me like they have a vision, right? They don't have like a solidified project. Their project is, let's promise all these players money over long periods of time, and half of or I want to say like 60% of them aren't even going to play for the senior squad eventually. Like, right. and they're not paying them in deals where, like, if they sell them, they're going to make profit. It's almost like they're going to have to cut their losses, which is the crazy thing. Yeah. Listen, I don't know where they end up and what they look like this season, but man, and this is a team that could be facing like financial fair play issues next year, and fingers crossed. Yeah, that'd be great. Let's take a look at the Champions League group just for some of the England teams. We already talked about Newcastle a little bit with them being involved in the group of death, but Manchester United end up with a group with Bayern Munich, Copenhagen, Galatasaray. should be getting out of that group, but them playing. Harry Kane is coming to haunt them Again,
Ten Hag homecoming too, by the way. Arsenal and Lens and PSV, Sevilla. Arsenal should be managing that group. I think they got a pretty decent draw, all things considered, especially when you consider, where their pot was. They could have ended up in a bad place. Manchester City get Red Star Belgrade, RB Leipzig. Again, they always get RB Leipzig and Young Boys. Really, all the English teams I think have groups that they should be getting out of. I don't see a ton of excuses there. In Europa League, for the English teams, we got Brighton getting in a group with AEK Athens, Ajax, and Marseille. Talk about a group right there. I mean, that's a throwback Champions League group, to be honest. Outside of Brighton, it's a tough group. This is not an easy group to navigate. Liverpool got Lask, Toulouse, and Union Saint-Gilloise. I believe that's how you say it.
I believe that Liverpool is safe.
They should be. Alexis McAllister's brother, by the way, plays for Union Saint-Gilloise, which is kind of a cool connection.
Cool.
Even Kevin McAllister, a.k.a. Home Alone. Argentinian, Irish, Scottish. You got to love it. Dom, it's international break, so we don't have games to look forward to. But you got anything to say before we get out of here?
Yeah. If you're listening to this, if you're not watching this, even if you're watching this, you're probably wondering why I've been looking off the screen the entire time instead of looking at the camera and Matt. I'm drafting in my third and fourth fantasy football draft, American fantasy football drafts. If you see my hair go gray in 2 weeks, just know that's why. I'm not going to be watching a lot of games. Fuck Boyz episode 4 should be coming out soon. I need to record that. I'm getting a little behind, but I mean, it's 2 weeks before the new game comes out, so it's like, what is there to talk about? A 99 rated Jude Bellingham. I mean, the guy's been playing good. Can we talk about that real quick?
We could talk about how Jude Bellingham is the first player since Ronaldo to score 5 goals in his first.
Absolutely stupid. And they spelled his name wrong in the locker room. That's crazy. He's just going out there doing all this for the club. They're putting an M instead of an N. Oh, man, he is incredible, man. He is just such a wonderful talent. If anything, if you're talking about the international break, go watch England. Tomori got called up. Thank God. Bellingham is going to ball out. I mean, that's just if you're going to do something for the international break, watch that. Also, if we want to talk about some transfers on the deadline day, just a very emotional transfer. Sergio Ramos back at Sevilla, which is
does nothing for me.
Does nothing to you, but it's much to the chagrin of Arsenal fans. So
it's also much to the chagrin of Sevilla fans who hate Sergio Ramos. I don't know, man. Guy can't play, by the way. He can't physically do it anymore.
So, yeah, it's not the same guy, but
you're not that guy.
It's just one of those emotional
Sergio,
comebacks.
I'll see you playing in Chester, Pennsylvania next season when you're partnering with Chiellini in LAFC. I'll see you next year, bud.
Sheesh. What if he came to the Union?
The Union would never pay that kind of money. That's an irrelevant question. Sergio Ramos would ask for a year what I think the entire Union operating budget is. No shot.
Oh.
We won't even pay our best players. We're definitely not playing a washed up Sergio Ramos.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, enjoy the international break. You got Euro qualifiers, so there's something on the line here at least. You got that excitement to look forward to. We'll be back next week. We will definitely be doing the fantasy team draft. I'm gonna wait for the October international break just so we have a few more games. That's when we did it last year at that stage. So we have a little more games to work with, and it makes it a little more fun. It's not as topsy-turvy with some of the table standings. So we'll be back to do that as our season-long competition. But enjoy maybe instead of European football, American football this weekend. We'll talk to you next week. See you.